Hi, how are you? Today is Tuesday. Thankfully, I get to do this on Tuesday. My name is Spirit. If you're here for the very first Tuesday, on Tuesdays, I love sharing our story on how UAE has been a home to us for the last 7 years and just sharing tips and things that you might want to consider when you decide to travel to the UAE, either as a resident or just as a visitor, things that you might not want to overlook next time you're traveling. And if you're thinking, what destination do I maybe consider going to, you might want to consider UAE for various reasons that I have already shared in the previous videos. So today, it's a very interesting day. I'm just thinking about health. The reason being, I wasn't too well, but now I'm good. I'm good. I thank God. I really thank God. And so I was just thinking about health. Every region usually has a climate, an atmosphere, and just different viruses in the air. Let's just say that, and different bacteria in the air. So what that means is that when we travel, we might easily catch something that we never had in our home country, have some reactions we've not had in our home countries. You might be thinking, what is going on? Did I make a mistake traveling, or is someone doing strange things? Is someone doing strange things to me, making me get some reactions somewhere? That's for those who are superstitious, but also not just superstitious, but also we all understand our pasts, where we come from. And so, yeah, if you're traveling, say for example, you're coming to the UAE and you're coming from Africa, of course, there are things like, for me, coming from Kenya, things that I remember I had not seen, like on my son. Like when we traveled, he was 1 year old and we land and he gets this big boil. Big boil. I think it was on his face out of nowhere. And I remember also my nephew, the same thing happened to him. He traveled, and then when he landed, they came visiting. When he landed, he got some strange thing on his head, which up to now, I think more than 4 years or 3 years down the line, has not cleared. And I also have a friend here who, when they traveled, there was just something strange. And of course, because the air is different, everything is different. So yeah, you just get to react and respond differently. People respond differently to this change in environment. So let's talk about coming in as a tourist, or coming in knowing that you're going to reside here, and ask ourselves things like, if say for example I'm from my home country and we have things like malaria. So if I come to the UAE and it just happens, maybe it was brewing in me, and then I find out that I have malaria, should I just go to the hospital and say I have malaria, treat me? So it's something like malaria is not common. It's not a disease on this side. The symptoms might be addressed, but it is not the same as when you are in a country or in a space where they actually have treated malaria and they know how to treat it well. So that means when you're traveling and you, for example, maybe had symptoms or signs, and you know how your health is, first, we put our trust in God. We take care of ourselves, and we know that God is taking care of us. And then we also want to travel and enjoy our time when we're traveling, or if we are relocating, we want to settle down well. So you might consider, for example, if you've already maybe seen a doctor, if you have symptoms that you think are some of these, if you just have symptoms and you're convicted, you need to see a doctor, see the doctor. And I know most of us just throw away the prescription and go like, oh yeah, I have meds, I'm done. Always keep your prescription. I actually see this a lot in athletes who have to give an account of every single medicine that they've taken and find out whether they are doping. But it's a very good practice. Well, don't ask me whether I practice that. But yeah, I think maybe because I can always access my prescription online if I wanted to, or ask for it if I wanted to. But just make sure you can access and you have a prescription with you. If you need to now maybe travel with the medicine that you're traveling with because you've gotten assessed and of course you're in need of medication, carry your prescription, because sometimes you might just get you may just land and you're just checked and then you are found to be carrying some anti-malaria or some whatnots. This is a warning for those of you who like self-medicating and saying, I feel like I have malaria. Oh, to the counter, I'm going to buy Malaria Queen. Just go get checked properly. Sometimes it's fatigue, it's not malaria. Just go get checked and then walk with your prescription. If you need to travel, pack your medicine with your prescription. If the doctor stopped writing prescriptions, please tell them to write and stamp so it's something that looks, that can be accepted if you are stopped for medication you're walking around with. Well, you might ask, have you ever been stopped for medication you're walking around with? No, but I'm seeing rules changing at the airports, and one of the things that I'm seeing that is getting attention is the prescriptions that people are crossing into different regions with. So make sure you have your prescription and your medicine. And then, so you ask me, okay, fine, I was fine. I came, I was fine. And I'm a tourist. I've landed. I'm not feeling well. What do I do? How is the health sector in the UAE? How do I pay? Is it very expensive? Can I afford it? You might want to check with your insurance service provider if you have a medical cover from your various countries and see whether they have their cover is acceptable globally. You maybe never asked and maybe you were walking around with a medical cover that can be used in different locations. So if you discover that your your insurance can be able to take care of your medical needs, even if you are in a different country, then that's your blessing. And if you maybe don't even have insurance and you are thinking, okay, so what do? I don't have insurance, but I'd love to travel and at least also make sure that I am safe. What do I do? So the health sector in the UAE is very good. Mainly, people go to private hospitals. But actually, the public hospitals are very good, very, very good. And the locals, mostly you'll find the locals going to the public hospitals. Their own local, the local hospitals in the country. How many of you here come from countries where the public sector has given you very nice public hospitals and you don't really need to go to the private ones because the public ones are working? If they are working, thank God for your leadership. If they're not working, don't throw stones at them, just pray for them, because anyway, yeah, I know, I understand, I totally understand from where I'm coming from how hard this can be. Where you even pay taxes and you're wondering, so why is there no medicine in the public hospital and why can't we all access? Why do we all have to go to a private hospital? Why can't the government fix this? Anyway, yeah, so pray for your government. Pray for these leaders to be wise enough to put in place a proper health care system. And so you can travel to the UAE and access the hospitals. If you say, for example, you're traveling and you're not feeling well, you can access the hospitals. Of course, the private hospitals will be a little premium. Like, for example, I know that I do. I used to visit one of the private hospitals, and I would pay. What do you call that? Is it the doctor's fee or consultation fees? Around 500 and something dirham. I know there are hospitals that can charge over 2,000 dirham, and the public one, the government one, which is good, it is very good also, charges non-locals, I think 100 and something dirham. So you can just get to know which hospital you're able to go to and get good treatment and you're able to afford. That way you can still get checked and then continue with your holiday. Yeah, and that's very important because sometimes people get stranded in foreign countries. You probably don't even know how to speak the language, or you're not able to communicate or express yourselves, and you're not well. So just Google, find out where the closest public hospital is to you. Once you know that, forgive me, I'm yawning. Forgive me, I'm yawning. Once you know that, you then are able to choose which hospital you can go to. And now you know you don't need to be stranded somewhere with a health that is getting affected and not go to look for help. And so what do you need when you go to the hospitals? Definitely, that would mean you need to go with your passport and you have to have a visa. So here we are talking about a valid visa. Don't overstay your time and go without a visa. It might not be so good for you, because if you don't have a valid visa, you're not staying illegally in the country. You're not staying legally in the country. So that's another problem on top of not having good health. And one of the things that happens in the UAE, I know, we come from a culture where we listen to what our bodies are saying. We diagnose ourselves and we prescribe a solution for ourselves. This is what I want you to know. That I want you to know that antibiotics here are not sold over the counter. If you want to buy antibiotics, you need to have a prescription from the doctor. So please make sure that you have a prescription. And if you maybe think that you might run the risk of having the quantity of the medication you need to take go down, maybe you can talk with your doctor at home and have them give you what would be enough. If not, they can maybe give you a prescription which you can still use. I want to put a disclaimer there and say that you need to still check with the healthcare service providers and make sure that at least you know that you can use the prescription you came with. Make sure it's stamped also. Let your doctor stamp it so it's valid, it's legit, because it has a doctor stamp. Yeah, and I guess that's it. Not too long. That's it. And to understand that different weathers present different challenges. So sometimes we can be here, and sometimes maybe you're just finding people are coughing and they're really coughing a lot. And you're like, hey, how long have you been coughing? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? How is it even possible? You're just coughing and nothing is changing. And you just maybe travel home, you land home, and you breathe in the air your body has maybe been missing. And just like that, the air clears your cough. So it's just amazing to just see how the world works. Thank God that He's the one who holds us together. So yeah, knowing how different things are, especially if you want to just sponsor your parents, if they're a bit elderly, Just think through what they might need in terms of medicine, in terms of care. Think through all that so that you can give them the best experience. And in case someone is not too well, at least you don't panic, but they can still see a doctor and get help. Yeah. And also just trust God, because what do you do if you land in a country that has never seen malaria and you have malaria? Do you give up and die? No. Just trust God to take care of you when you travel. Yeah. And make sure that you always think about your health. And if you're traveling with other people, and especially people with children, you open their bags, they have more medicine than food. And it's quite understandable because they're just vulnerable, and they're building their immunity. So you'll find painkillers, whatnots, what do you call them? Maybe nebules, for nebulizing. You might find as they take up your antihistamines, you might find a lot of medication. So don't ignore the fact that you might want to just get a checkup. It doesn't mean go looking to get sick and get a checkup, but just familiarize yourself with the place you've come to and just ask. Google, where can I get a good doctor? And so you don't have to get stranded when you want to look for a doctor in case of anything. But we believe it's going to be a holiday. On holidays, people don't get sick. It's fun. But just to be sure that we have the information to know that in case of anything, we can always get help. That's very important. So thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. Be in good health, in good shape. And I thank God for those of you who are really interested in traveling. Let me also tell you one other thing about the weather. It might not be diseases that are viral. It might just be the sun. Because like right now, the temperature, I'm just looking at my laptop, and let me see if I can just turn the camera. I've not done this before, but you can see that. Yes, it's 41 degrees. So that means that under that weather, your body might get super shocked. So always check the weather. And be sure that you don't just read it and assume, 41, I think I can manage. The last time our country had 35 and 41, it's just a difference of, not so much, 6 degrees. So the weather also can just affect. Because the weather can dehydrate, weather can give heat stroke, weather can just give, without any virus, just the sun in its own power and might. Just the rain, just the snow. So you just go knowing it's how it is. Always check the weather so you don't just show up and you just get a culture shock and you spend the rest of your holiday trying to figure out what's going on. So always check the weather. And what do we say other than get those bags ready and get ready to travel? Get those bags ready, get ready to travel, and may God bless you so much as you continue to support me. And next week I'll be talking about something very interesting. I know last week I talked about people who love adrenaline and also people who love lights. I have one for you farmers. But see you next week. God bless you so much.